September 29th, the week of September 29th, 2019. Welcome back to Behind the Mic, here with Radio Theology, your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Pastor Darren Earlyline. Here with Ryan and Lisa. And, Lisa, Ryan, it was touch and go there for a little bit this week.
It was,
We thought we were going to lose you, Lisa.
Mm-hmm. We didn't know where you were going there.
Yeah. Yep.
We almost called in hospice.
Oh, boy.
Almost got in a psychiatrist when you started bringing up an imaginary horse, from back in the day when you were a kid.
It was a big week this week for me, I'll tell you that.
Almost died from sodium poisoning.
Gosh. Your husband nearly died from scalding himself trying to fix the hot water heater.
Yeah. How you get through a week, I don't understand.
I know. It's hard to be me, I'll tell you that.
Well, we love you.
We do. Mm-hmm. We do, and are so glad you're still here.
Yeah.
I hope you caught most of the show of Radio Theology this week. If not, all the highlights here are on the podcast channel, or you can go to radiotheology.com and check out some of the segments. But we had a lot of fun this week. Fun show. Kept it pretty light, but there was some deeper moments that we're able to delve into. Lisa wasn't dying of sodium poisoning.
No.
Just couldn't figure out how margaritas and chips and salsa could cause possible, water retention.
Face puffiness.
My face was puffy.
Did it tingle?
No
Okay,
tingling.
Yeah. So probably just
regular old
margarita
face
poisoning.
Yeah.
I got a friend who loves margaritas, and she loves salt. But the salt can drive up her blood pressure. But it's funny because, I can't believe I just said that. Do you realize that statement alone, that I have a friend that's talking about blood pressure?
Yeah.
Oldest thing you've ever said.
So guess who's about to die?
Gosh.
Yeah.
I am ancient.
Wow.
Anyway, it's funny because she loves the salted rim margaritas, and she will literally lick the salt off. She gets all the salt.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that there might be a correlation there. Anyway, we're not talking about blood pressure this morning. But
God, thank the Lord.
One of the other discussions we had,
So
not about
bored.
you dying, but was, Lisa, your chit-chit.
Oh,
Yeah.
C-H.
C-H-I-T.
C-H-I-T.
Shit.
Chit-chit
Yeah.
that you named and hung out with in a church bathroom. Stall.
Yeah.
Chit-chit, your emotional support imaginary horse.
Okay, can we just say it was just an imaginary horse for a season?
Well, no, Ryan, wouldn't it be consistent? I'm thinking, I'm not a psychiatrist.
No.
But would you join me in saying it's at least within the realm of possibility that if you have an imaginary horse,
Yes.
it's probably there for emotional support needs?
Absolutely. I mean, you were a lonely girl on a farm.
No friends.
None.
Gangly.
Your nearest neighbor was probably 6 miles away.
No teeth.
Just all you did was braid your hair for fun.
Yeah.
And you braided Chit-Chit's mane for fun, too.
That's the way I heard the story, Ryan.
Chit-Chit, you're back. Where have you been? Here's a carrot, Chit-Chit.
Oh, my God.
Oh, come here, boy.
Oh,
You should have your mom call in. Mom and dad be like, so when you saw her galloping around the backyard, what did you think was wrong? We thought she had a hip problem.
Nope. She was making up horses.
Yeah. Oh, look, honey, she's got scoliosis. Nope, she's just fake riding Chit-Chit again.
Well, joke's on you. I did have scoliosis as a
Wait,
girl.
are you serious? You had scoliosis?
Yes.
How'd you not die from that? Good thing you didn't have margaritas as a kid.
How did...
Between that and dying from humiliation right now, I feel like maybe you're trying to kill me.
No. We need to dive into this. We did not learn about this on the show. When were you diagnosed? When did you learn that you had scoliosis?
As a kid, as a little girl, they make you.
You bend down and the nurse kind of rubs her hand along your spine.
Yeah,
much like you did to Chit-Chit when you took his saddle off.
Yeah,
you would rub his spine.
Hey, buddy.
They make you.
And then your mom and dad
say
sit you down.
bend over at the doctor. It sounds so weird.
Nope, not when you have scoliosis.
Well, not when you have scoliosis. You have to bend down, touch your toes, and then they check the curvature of your spine and add a little curvy spine.
Did you have to wear a brace or get surgery?
I did have to wear a brace.
Yeah.
I also had Shut up, Darren.
I didn't say.
How long? Hold on,
I
hold
also
on.
had headgear. Okay,
Did
if you want
words
to talk
come
about
out
that,
of my mouth?
they're
Headgear.
coming out of your eyes.
Headgear like a helmet or headgear for braces?
Braces.
Yeah, I had a headgear too. It was
There-
horrible.
see.
Listen,
It's horrible. I didn't have
had-
scoliosis
Terrible.
though.
Painful.
can I confess childhood trauma as well?
Yes,
Yeah, go
please.
ahead. You're in
Okay.
an obviously safe place.
A dangerously, mildly safe, but we'll bury you in humiliation place.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
As a little kid, I had pigeon-toed feet. My feet turned in.
Okay.
Aw.
And back in the days, in the 70s when I was born, where you guys weren't even thought about, your parents were probably barely dating.
God, you're so old.
I had to wear these shoes that were connected by a bar, and I'd have to wear it to like straighten out my legs or something.
Like, how
Which
high
to me
did the
kind
bar?
of feels like archaic technology. Like,
Yeah.
well, his feet turn in. I don't know, put him in those shoes
Like,
connected
no,
with the bar.
I mean,
I thought
this-
you just had to put the shoes on the other feet to
What?
kind of the opposite feet.
That's with
to-
horseshoes and horses.
yeah, that's,
get your-
those are my real feet. If
Was-
they're imaginary feet, you change the shoes.
Was it like in Forrest Gump? I mean, this actually legitimately. Like, was it like the thing that
Oh, he had
little
polio.
Forrest?
I didn't have polio.
FDR had polio.
So did Forrest Gump.
I don't know about that. Did he?
Yes.
Yes, you did.
No, it was literally, they were white, like baby shoes, connected with a green metal bar.
How old were you?
You had to wear white patent leather baby shoes?
They weren't patent leather. It wasn't Rick James.
I love you trying the picture of you.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
You at a young age trying to fit your
powerful drug.
junior high size foot into a baby shoe.
No, I would have been in preschool.
They don't fit.
I would
Oh,
have
you're
been in
in
preschool.
preschool.
Oh,
okay.
okay.
So tiny tot
sadistic
Darren.
part of
Yeah.
the story is my older brother thought it was fun. I couldn't walk or like really get around. I'd wear
Well,
him
how
to sleep in or whatever. He thought it was hilarious to
Oh.
push me out of the bed because I couldn't catch myself.
You guys slept in the same bed?
I guess that's the only memory I have is him pushing me out of the bed onto the ground because he's
It's adorable.
a mean older brother.
So
Adorable.
it was like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory bed situation in your home growing up.
What's that mean?
Where all the grandparents and everybody sleeps. Never mind. Let's just keep talking about Lisa's horse.
Yeah, enough about me.
Yeah, well, I can keep going with all the embarrassing contraptions that I had to deal with as a child if we want to talk about my bedwetting thing.
So you obviously needed a lot of support.
Oh, that's right. Hold on. Wait. You had to wear the sensor, the underwear that has
The underwear with the metal
would,
sensor that
that would wake you up.
buzzed when
Electric shock panties.
when you
had.
when you
Oh,
peed
gosh.
your panties in bed at night.
Oh my gosh. You had something.
It's amazing that I am like a decent adult, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
seriously, every time I open my mouth, I'm like, everyone should be like, thank God she's mildly normal, mildly,
Mildly.
not too normal,
Mildly.
right?
She's got a puffy face, kind of a weird spine, and thinks she's riding an imaginary horse everywhere she goes.
But other than that, we love her.
How long
She's
did you have
still
to
wearing those
vibrating panties?
electronic shock
How-
panties just to
They're not-
charge the day up.
Okay.
Were they not? How long did you have to wear your scoliosis
I don't
back
even.
gear?
I probably blocked it out of my mind.
Let's
Probably
try
a
to bring-
year. Probably a year.
A year, and then it reset itself.
Yes.
Right before she created Chit. Okay, I will save you.
gosh.
We've got to move on.
We have to get to some spiritual content.
I love this.
So
Here's the moral of the story: surround yourself with wonderful people
yes,
who
No, the
just
moral of
want
the
to lift you
yeah,
up.
the moral
We're
of the story is
edifying you.
laugh at yourself.
yeah.
That's the moral of the
Don't
story.
take life
Done.
too seriously.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
No.
Check.
The point we made during the show, we were not this mean, but
Wow.
because we can't talk for 8 minutes about the stuff, which I wish we could.
I so wish.
That's
we
why
could.
the podcast is so
Mm-hmm.
much better to listen to. Share it with all your friends, please. But it's easier to have an imaginary horse
Mm-hmm.
than a real horse, right?
Yeah, real horses cost money. You have to clean up after them. You have to shoe them,
Take
All
your
these
time.
things.
feed them, house them,
Right. All the things.
put
Which are
them
great.
down when they get sick later in life.
My.
just-
Horses can live to be like,
my.
I think, like 50 years old, can't they? 30 years old?
I do not know.
I don't know.
Eventually,
Why don't
though.
you fact check us? I will.
Eventually, though, you got to put that thing down. You
The
know?
Okay,
point we
carry on.
made-
Make the point.
Is that so often we treat Jesus like an imaginary support animal.
What a good spiritual segue.
Trying, right? Is I want to believe that you're there. I want the comfort from believing,
Sure.
oh, Jesus, you're there.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes down to like what would be a real relationship, it's like, well, why don't you just stay as the imaginary God that I kind of think about at Christmas and Easter?
Stay in your
Right.
stable
Yes, there we go.
Ooh.
Or the manger,
or the manger.
or the tomb. Probably not though.
Yeah.
We would not want him in the tomb.
He can't stay in the tomb.
That's true.
It's impossible.
I was just talking to a couple this week actually who getting ready to start they're getting ready to get married, getting to start their life together, and talked to them about the need for Christ to be central in their marriage, something that they're it's a growth period, a growth area for them, put it that way.
Okay.
And they talked about, well, we're thinking about maybe we go to church, think we're going to find one. And the way they were talking about it, it reminded me, I think, a lot of, because I asked them, I said, you guys go to the gym? And they were like, well, I went twice last week and I haven't been able to get in, but I'm trying to, and we might join a new one and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, if you don't go to the gym at all, I said, why do you go to the gym? Well, I want to be healthy.
Okay. All right.
Correct.
Sure.
I was like, if you were to go to the gym 2 or 3 times a year, would you be shocked that you weren't physically in shape? Like, you wouldn't.
Right.
But the idea that somehow, like, if I went to church a couple times, maybe, like, magically, I would become, like, spiritually connected to Jesus somehow.
Right.
And I just the idea that, I guess it does connect to the whole imaginary Jesus part is I think we almost want to make it more an imaginary, magical thing than a real relationship with someone who is alive and well, just like anybody else in our life would be. But because it's spiritual and he's God and Jesus, it's like magical and different. But the same exact principles apply to how we grow and develop in that relationship in the same way we would in any relationship.
Right. It's basically time spent together.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Warts and all.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about the warts.
Well, I mean, as we're talking about like real relationship versus imaginary relationship, I just in through the lens of Jesus, I think it was great that he came back, but he didn't just show up and he's like, all right, guys, I got to go. He stuck around for 40 days.
Yeah.
Eating with friends, being with friends. I think one of the first things he did when he came back was he cooked his friends breakfast on the beach.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Go to a beach and Jesus is there with a fire and he's got some fish for you.
Not bad at all.
Yeah. Not a fish guy in the morning, but personally, but back then I'm sure they loved it.
Yeah.
But I like that he stuck around for a bit, but real relationships take time. I mean, we've all known each other. Darren, I've known you for probably 12, 13 years.
Yeah, something like that.
Lisa, since before our first kids were born, so at least 5 years.
Yeah.
They take time. They morph. They evolve. There's ups and downs. There's things you learn. I'm still learning new things about you literally today.
Mm-hmm.
That you went through certain things as a child.
Yeah.
That my heart aches and breaks for you.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
But I can go, I too wore headgear.
Right.
As a child.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't have an imaginary horse. Peed my pants on stage in a bunny outfit.
There you go. See?
I did do that.
I know that.
You peed your bed growing up to the age of 23.
12.
12.
Still, it's too long.
Still.
But real relationships are difficult.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And a real connection with Jesus, it does cost you. And I don't know, maybe we don't talk about that enough. I know that in our day and time now, we talk more about the grace of God, which I think is great. I think we, a generation ago, it was more about, hellfire and brimstone and all the negative, sides of things. Not enough about grace. But I feel like sometimes now we don't balance out that. I was just listening to a song from Switchfoot this week, Vice Verses. And there's a line there that talks about, you got your blessings, you got your curses, and the whole song is basically, you got your babies, I got my hearses, every set of blessing comes with a set of curses is the line, I believe.
Okay.
And it's true, actually, in every situation in the Bible where God lays out blessings to us, whether it's Old Testament when God's given the law and the connection to the Israelites, or it's the New Testament as Jesus is giving out, the Sermon on the Mount, or when he's doing, woe to you and bless. There's always a curse that comes along with the blessing. There's two sides of it. There's vice versa there. And within that, the context of that relationship is of understanding that it does cost us something. There's the grace of God, but the grace of God, to be the grace of God, it cost Jesus his life.
Right.
And we don't have to earn it.
Yeah.
We're not earning God's love and his favor. That's grace. But it cost us something.
Mm-hmm.
It cost us the loss of selfishness. It cost us, choosing to humble ourselves and forgive. It cost us time. It cost us our selfish focus on it always being about me. Like being in love with someone, whether it's Jesus or another person, it costs you something.
Mm-hmm.
The grace and the love of God is free, but there is a cost to you.
Yeah.
I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and it's like a battleground, really, is how I feel like it most of the time. It just maybe because that's the season I'm in right now, is everything feels kind of hard. But yeah, it cost me a lot of mental and emotional energy to maintain my relationship with God.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
Yeah. Is it good? I don't know. Oh boy,
It's
here
hard.
we go.
No, I mean, life is difficult, but it's full. And I think that's when Jesus is talking about, the thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy. I came that they may have life to the full. He doesn't mean like it's only, to use a roller coaster metaphor, which I'm sure Jesus, I think in one of the scriptures he used a roller coaster metaphor.
For sure.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's not just going to be when you get to the top, you go down and, you feel that rush. It's like part of it's the climb. Where it's like, now I'm quoting Miley
Cyrus, Lord
but
have mercy.
now it's like, gosh, it's costly, but it's good. I think that's the point we're trying to make. There, when you talked about grace, one of the guys who I read one of his biographies several years ago, and it's amazing. Dietrich Bonhoeffer. He was really big in reshaping the vision of the German church during the rise of Hitler and all that stuff. But he said he's talking about cheap grace and costly grace, which is kind of interesting. He said, this grace is costly because it calls us to follow, and it is grace because it calls us to follow Jesus. It is costly because it costs us our lives, and it is grace because it gives us the only true life, which is cool because like sometimes we only want to pick, the parts of the Christian walk, the Christian faith, pick and choose certain things and leave the other parts on the shelf that we don't really jive with. But Jesus is like, no, that's not going to work. It's either me or nothing.
Yeah.
Pick up your cross and die to yourself. It's like, whoa. But he goes, hey, those who are going to lose their lives are going to find them. And he's always talking in these sort of paradoxes that seem to not make sense. And you'll really only experience it, I think, if you're listening, if you're trying to wonder, like, where's the first step that I take in my faith? Just try literally the first step. Maybe it's listening to this podcast. Maybe it's going to a church you've heard about, and we've got a huge network of churches that we really, really stand by and believe in here in Indianapolis. But just get to know him for who he is, and you'll realize that the cost is worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say, too, just to offer hope to anyone who feels like life is really hard right now and maintaining relationship and I don't know, a real relationship with God right now feels hard, like a lot of work, is that it does get easier the more you practice.
Mm-hmm.
The more you're in a relationship, it gets easier to hear his voice and know the truth about yourself and know the truth about him. And so it's worth continuing to step into because it will feel it wouldn't always feel this hard.
Mm-hmm.
It always ebbs and flows. And I know this season will end and it will feel like I'm coasting for a while, but then I'm like, man, all of my best things right now are happening because of the wrestling that I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want it to be easy. I don't care that it's not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I think the part of, if we're saying, if the true journey is transformation, like the image I get in my brain is like, when Word talks about us that we're being, we're clay, like in the potter's hand. Like if you could hear, like if clay had nerve endings,
yeah,
and you could hear
mm-hmm.
what how difficult that process is for a lump of clay.
Yeah.
Like it's a lump.
Yeah.
Then it's taken and smashed into a ball.
Uh-huh.
Then it's put on a wheel and it starts spinning around to where it has to be so dizzy.
There you go. That's my life right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're spinning.
Yeah.
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 And then the potter's hands start pressing in, squeezing out, pulling up. Like that process, to be the clay, has to be unbelievably painful.
Oh, and then guess what? You're put in a kiln.
Yes. Then you get the shape that you could be used in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like, hey, now you have you look like a vessel that could be used.
Yeah.
But if we use you right now, you will be disfigured.
Right.
And unable to be used. So, like you say, Ryan, now what we're going to do is we're going to put you in fire so hot that you have to think there's absolutely no way that I'm not dying. Let's keep with the illustration. And in your current form, you are. Right? You're going from soft clay to hardened, almost stone.
Yeah.
to where you're able to then be used, to be purposeful, to maintain your shape. Like, and I think that's why it's important to let people know, hey, if you want to keep Jesus as an imaginary horse in the backyard, he'll actually allow you to do that.
Mm-hmm.
He loves you that much.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you want to play make-believe, Jesus will let you. Now, that doesn't come without a cost.
Right. You're paying
It's
something.
costly either way.
Yeah.
It's costly either
Yeah.
way. And I come back to it all the time. I love the quote that Matt Tebby said to me, is that God is so real, he wants to meet you really where you really are. We say it every week on the show that God's made you on purpose and for purpose, but the process to get you purpose ready is going to be difficult, and it's going to have nothing to do with magic. It's going to have nothing to do with make-believe.
Or church attendance.
Yeah.
We're all for going to church, but
Yes.
it doesn't mean like walking in the building makes
Sure.
check, got it. I'm
Right.
following the rules, Jesus. Why aren't you?
Right.
It's
Like,
like,
walking in the gym doesn't make you fit.
right.
Correct. Which would be awesome. I just stand there all the time.
Gosh, it'd
Yeah.
be great.
I've been here for
Stare in the
45
mirror
minutes.
like,
Did that
So
work?
good.
Wow.
Wow.
Look at you
it
go.
It just melts right off. I don't have to do anything.
But God is real. He's not imaginary, and he does want to do to take you to a place that, beyond what you could ask or imagine. But that is not going to be easy. But I love what you said, Lisa. It's like, but when you're in the midst of it, I think as you see yourself taking shape spiritually,
Yeah.
and as he's beginning to bring you into the form of which he's designed you, man, I think the excitement and the promise begins to overwhelm the sense of pain.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Which, unless you're in it, can sound like some rah-rah bumper sticker kind of thing we're saying.
Yeah.
Right.
We're not.
Yeah.
We're
Yep.
not saying it's easy. We're saying it's worth it.
Yep.
So don't let Jesus be chit-chit in the backyard.
Look, can we just say, just never name anything imaginary chit-chit?
Oh, no.
There's really no reason.
The best
that's-
thing about your horse
Yeah.
Is the
was
name.
his name.
Yeah.
Especially the fact that your only memory is when you were taking a dump at a church.
Never said dump.
What are you doing in there, Lisa?
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, listen, we could dive into the next topic, but I think we've done enough for today. We did talk this week about affirming men.
Oh, yeah.
And how their mom set them up to be for the real world of. It's way easier to affirm your son, probably, than to affirm your husband.
That's true.
Just remember, ladies that have sons or that have husbands, at one point,
He was a
your
son.
husband was a son.
Yeah.
And if you're raising sons, you might want to prepare them for when they're husbands.
Yeah.
That
Sounds like a John Mayer song.
Man, it really does.
Like the opposite of his song Daughters. We need to write that.
Yeah.
Except it's written in like a minor key, drop D or something like that with
Yeah.
a little bit, a little more metal guitar in it.
Oh, my
Real
gosh.
manly like.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway. Hey, thank you so much for listening to Behind the Mic this week. We really do appreciate it. We do this show each week on ZPL, Radio Theology, and we put together this Behind the Mic podcast, not because we just want to sit around and talk to each other, even though we love doing that, but because we want it to be something that blesses your life, something that helps you make the next steps you need to become who God's created you to be. And part of that could be sharing this with someone in your life that you think could be encouraged by what we share. So we'd love for you to share this podcast, post it on your social media. It'd mean the world to us if you jump on iTunes or wherever you download the podcast, Spotify, or wherever it would be, and give us a review, maybe comment on the podcast, so we can grow the audience and make a difference to everyone that we get a chance to come across their life. And so we'd love to do that. If you'd like to email us, just message us on Facebook, probably the easiest way to do it, at Radio Theology, and just radiotheology.com. We'd love to stay in contact with you. And I think that's it for today.
That's
What do you
it.
guys think?
I think so, too. No,
Chit chit, what do you think? Chit chit? Chit chit. Here, boy.
he's gone again.
He's gone.
Till next time, friends, this is Radio Theology. And remember, God's probably not against you. He's near you, not far from you. And he's
right.
created you on purpose and for purpose. And his name is not Chit Chit.